Hello. Okay. I hope everybody's doing well. It's a beautiful night, and I wanted to sit out here on my sun porch this evening. I'm listening to the crickets outside and just enjoying the nice setting. And I wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit about the color wheel. We are getting into the element of color this week, okay? Um, Our essential question for the week is, let me move this out of the way, is what is the relationship of color? Okay, now if you don't have paint, don't fear. I have a lot of options for us to complete a color wheel, and I'm going to go through some of that right now. Okay, I love painting. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I'm really excited to kind of show you some ways to paint and also some alternatives for utilizing color. Okay, so far we have learned the elements of line, shape, value, okay, in drawing. All right, when you completed your shattered drawing. Last week, we completed a Google Choice board, and our essential question was how does art enrich our lives and our education? And through that Google Choice board, I really wanted to see your creativity through choice and what you selected and sort of how you utilize this option of enriching your own life with the arts. Okay. So there's sort of been this unfolding as we complete this quarter. Now that we've learned we're going to be out a little bit longer, each week we're going to be focusing on a different element and principle of design as we are out for this time period. And then we're going to culminate all of that into a summative, okay, coming up. All right, but don't worry about that right now. So the element of color, okay, again, our essential question for the week is what is the relationship of color? So to begin with, we need to know what a color wheel is. That's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be creating a color wheel, okay? So this color wheel teaches us a relationship between primary colors, secondary colors, and tertiary colors. Another known name for that is intermediate colors, okay? There is purpose on the placement of every single color on this color wheel, okay? So keep this in mind that it's a wheel. A lot of the times when you see a color wheel, I have another one here too, as you can see, yellow is often at the top, but that doesn't mean it has to be because I could rotate this wheel, all right? And it doesn't matter where I rotate it, okay? Those colors are always going to be by one another. So yellow will always be next to yellow green and yellow orange, okay? Violet will always be in between blue violet and red violet, okay? There are 12 colors in the color wheel. You only need these 3 primary colors to complete your color wheel. This is going to be on It's Learning, so I'd like you to actually watch these videos. They're really fun and cute, and they're great songs to kind of be catchy and get in your head. I believe in learning, we need to write things down, we need to look at things, we need to try some things, we need to hear some things, maybe even have a song attached to it. And I think having a song like this will help you learn the color wheel. Okay, so please make sure you watch these videos, but we're not going to do that right now. So you only need the 3 primary colors to mix every single color on this color wheel, okay? So the 3 primary colors are red, where are we? Red, yellow, and then blue, okay? You can see that kind of triangular shape around them, that trifecta, all right? Now, oftentimes I remind students when you want to learn how to mix a color, okay, let's say I want to mix the green family. Well, oh, but Miss Conway, what colors make green again? Well, Google a color wheel, and any colors that are in between those two primary colors, that's what you need to make green. So I would need yellow and blue to make green. Now we're going to get to all these intermediate or tertiary colors as well in just a moment. So red, yellow, and blue is what you need to begin with. Okay, and that's it. And you should be able to mix other colors from the color wheel. And we're going to talk about some alternatives. So if you're like, ooh, Miss Conway, I don't have paint, I can't do this, I have some choices for you, and this is going to be on It's Learning. And I'm going to go through them now. Your secondary colors, okay, are orange, green, and violet. And guess what? I'm not one of those art teachers that are sticklers about saying violet or purple. You can say purple. I'm fine with that. Okay? So orange, green, and violet or purple. Okay? Those are our secondary colors. All right? So we've gone through 6 of the 12 colors in the color wheel. Our 3 primary colors, red, yellow, blue, and then our 3 secondary colors, right? So we've got green, orange, and purple. Okay? Our 3 primary color, our secondary colors. All right? So there's a reminder in this Google Slides, and you have the internet at your access, so you can always look things up too. But red and yellow make orange, yellow and blue make green. Again, going back to the color wheel, you can kind of see that's what it's in between. Blue and red make purple. Blue, red, purple in between. Yellow, okay? Yellow, blue, green. Yellow, red, orange. Okay? So that's how you would mix to get your secondary colors. All right? So typically when I make a color wheel, I start by putting in my 3 primary colors, and then I make my secondary colors. Well, I have another one of those songs for you. It's super catchy, but it's an advanced version. So don't worry, it doesn't repeat exactly the other song. You kind of build off of it. So this talks about those other 6 colors that are in the color wheel. Then it also talks a little bit about tints and shades, which we'll get to in just a few minutes. So your tertiary colors. So primary, in Latin, primary, that's the like prefix for 1, secondary 2, tertiary is prefix for 3. Think third set of colors. Okay? There's another term for it, which are intermediate colors. Those are colors that are made from a primary and secondary color that are adjacent to one another. Ooh, a math term. Okay? So adjacent is another word for next to each other. So if we're looking at an example, yellow-green, okay? It's in between yellow and green. Okay, there's your primary and your secondary color, and it's next to it. All right? Now, here's a question, food for thought, since you can't answer me. Let's say I am mixing these colors up, okay, and I want to make a yellow-green. Well, if I only have yellow and blue, okay, because I'm only starting with my primary colors, and I want to specifically make a yellow-green, what primary color do you think I need the most of? If you said yellow, you're correct, okay? Think about the name it is, and whatever comes first, that's what you need the most of. So if I'm making yellow-green, I need more yellow. If I'm making blue-green, I need more blue, and so on and so forth. Blue-violet, I need more blue. Red-violet, I need more red. Red-orange, I need more red. Yellow-orange, I need more yellow. Okay? So those are your other 6 colors in a color wheel. Now I want to go through some choices, okay? Before we get into tints and shades, I want to go through some choices for your color wheel. So your assignment will be making a color wheel this week. That's one of your assignments, okay? You have 2 this week, but this is 1, okay? And you'll have a few days to do it, all right? I'm going to give you your next assignment on Wednesday. So to make a color wheel, here's what I suggest, okay? I'm going to go through all of the slides, and then I'm going to show you some tips on creating your color wheel if you're using some 2D materials such as paint, crayons, markers, or colored pencils, okay? So here are some choices for how to complete your color wheel. You get a lot of options this week, and I hope you choose a fun one for yourself, whatever you think you're going to be most successful with. First, you're going to have to create a circle shape on your piece of paper, okay? I suggest using something to trace. I'm using a coffee lid, but anything will work. Then you want to divide it up into 12 sections. It's okay if they're not perfectly even, just do the best you can. The way I actually divide my sections, and I'm going to show you too, is I make an X first. So if you look at this color wheel, I start with an X, and that gives me 4 sections. Well, if I want to make 12, okay, 12 divided by 4 is 3. So within that X, I add in 2 more lines to make a section of 3. And I do that 4 times because 4 times 3 is 12. Doing a little math today too. So here's your choices. Oh, but if you want to divide your paper up, a ruler or get crafty, use a book. Okay. So here's your choices. You can use paint if you have it to mix your color wheel. Okay, and I'm going to show you a few tips here in just a moment, a few minutes. Any kind of paint will do, whatever you have, acrylic, watercolor, tempera, okay? Those little bottles that you use for crafts, if you have a paint set like I do here, use that. Anything, all you need is red, yellow, and blue. If you have black and white, we'll talk about that later. That's an added bonus, okay? But for this, all you need is red, yellow, and blue, okay? So if you have any of those colors, you should be able to mix the whole color wheel, okay? So that's an option. Now this is one of my favorites, and I've already done this. I'm gonna just put myself down here. Okay, make paint. You can make paint from some of the materials in your kitchen. There's actually a lot of different ways to paint. We'll get into more options another week. But you can make paint out of food coloring. So all you need is 3/4 cup of flour, or cornstarch works as well, okay? Some food coloring. Again, you only need red, yellow, and blue, okay? And a cup of water. My daughter and I did this week, and we used a muffin tin, okay? And we created and mixed our colors in that. What I really liked about this visual right here is that it gives you suggestions of how many drops of color to add to your like floury, watery mixture that you pour into the muffin tin to kind of get different tones of that color. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. And go outside and make your color wheel on your driveway. How fun would that be, especially if you have siblings? And trust me, I'm 35 and I went out with my 4-year-old and did this, and I had the best time. Okay? Or you could use your food color paint to make it on a sheet of paper. That would be fine too. And again, if you go outside, you don't have to make it huge. You can make a small-ish. You could even still use the same lid that you did before, to use some sidewalk chalk or something to trace a circle on your sidewalk and divide it up, and then use the great paint you just made out of flour and water and food color, okay, and make your color wheel. All right, you could already pre-mix everything in this, and so then you don't have to mix it in the actual color wheel. You can make everything here in your muffin tins, okay, because there's 12 muffin tins and there's 12 colors in the color wheel. So I actually made some videos of this, okay, whenever I did this with my daughter. So they're time-lapse videos, but you can check that out, okay? When we created, you can see here our flour and water mixture. We used a combo of cornstarch and flour just to kind of test which one worked best. I found flour to be a little bit more effective than cornstarch, but either one works, okay? And come here, Gussie. Got my puppy, came outside. So I have 4 parts in that, okay? We didn't quite get the whole color wheel because my daughter, she was spilling paint everywhere, but keep in mind she's 4, you're not. So you can see us making the rainbow. And then I also did a little painting of a landscape. So you could see that. Why not? They're short, they're time lapses. And then you could just see this beautiful video of my daughter painting herself. And there's this great Picasso quote. And if you watched one of the videos last week, which you were supposed to, Art Speaks, it starts with this quote by Picasso that all children are born artists. And I truly believe that. And so if you don't think you can do something, you should try. Just experiment. That's what I'm trying to show you. I thought at least if we're at home, okay, and you can't be in my classroom, what ways can I encourage you to experiment with art to show that you really are an artist? Okay? It's not a special club you have to be in. My goodness, I hear some sirens. I hope everybody's okay. Yikes. Okay. Here's another fun one. I've done this in class before. Usually I actually do it the week before spring break, so I'm really bummed out that we're not actually in school for you to actually complete this edible color wheel. It's usually my couple days before spring break activity that I do with my students. Okay, here's my pup. Isn't he cute? But anyways, you can make an edible color wheel. I'm gonna let the sirens go by. Yikes, that sounds scary. Sounds really close. I don't live too far from the lake. I hope everybody's being safe. Okay, an edible color wheel. So if you have some white frosting, or you can even make some white frosting, or even some whipped cream could work as well. Okay, if you have any kind of heavy whipping cream, you can whisk it with some vanilla extract. Or if you have white frosting, you can make some. Even if you have some powdered sugar and milk, you can make frosting that way. You can look up a recipe. Okay. Have your mom help you. This might be a fun family bonding activity. This and the make your own paint could be a fun family activity to do. I hope that brings you joy as well. But you get white frosting and get 3 different bowls out, or cups, or whatever you have, mugs. Mix the colors using 3 primary colors. So you would need food coloring for this as well. Okay. So you would just need red, yellow, and blue though. Okay, put a couple of drops of each. All right, and then maybe get some cookies out. We used Nilla wafers in my classroom. We've also used animal crackers in my classroom as well when we've done this. But really any kind of edible cookie you have. You could even use a saltine, a little bit of salty and sweet if you like that sort of thing. And then you just mix the colors on a plate. This is how we did it in our classroom. We used popsicle sticks, so you could use like a spoon or a toothpick, whatever you have. And we mix yellow and blue together, and we got our greens, and we would make like one with a little bit more yellow to get that yellow green, and one with a little more blue to get the blue green, and so on and so forth. Of course, these aren't perfect colors, just like your homemade paint. It's not going to be exactly how it would be with real paint because you're using a white base with the frosting or with the flour water, but it's close enough. And the whole point is to kind of experiment with colors and how to learn the relationship of colors. Okay, that's our essential question for the week. Okay, so that's another option. Just making sure you take a picture before you eat it so I can give you credit when you upload it into assignments. Same with your outside stuff. If you do it on the driveway, make sure you take a picture of it before it washes away in the rain. Okay, so have no paint, no crayons, no colored pencils, not really in the mood to mix an edible color wheel or make your own paint. Pull out some of your magazines at your house. Get some tissue paper, some old wrapping paper, construction paper. Go through and start clipping out the colors of the color wheel and create a collage. Do a collaged color wheel just like these. You can see these are great. Okay, make sure you're doing it in the correct order, of course. Make sure you're doing all of these in the correct order. We'll go over that in just a few minutes as well. That's something I'm going to be looking for. If it is not in the correct order, you will not get full credit. Okay? But anyways, you could collage. I love this. Look at this. They even cut off their baking soda, like the outside of their baking soda box, which I thought was really funny. Your parents recycled? Look through some of your boxes, cereal boxes, Pop-Tart boxes, okay, granola bar boxes. Cut colors from all of that. Okay, it can be total, it could be a whole mix of things. It could be a mix of, recycled materials, magazines, tissue paper, construction paper, whatever you have to kind of create the color wheel. You can use crayons, okay, and I'm going to show you how you can actually mix crayons. All right, but if you have crayons, use crayons. This would be fun, but please make sure you get permission from your parents, okay? But you could lay out a crayon from the color wheel. Of course, you would be sacrificing them, but you can get a hair dryer. I suggest putting them on a thicker sheet of paper or a canvas if you had that. If you don't have any of that, maybe even like a piece of cardboard, okay? Do this safely. Of course, you want to keep the hair dryer not too close to the crayons, all right? But you lay them out, and then you point the hair dryer in high heat, okay? And you can melt the crayons. And then what's really cool is that they'll start melting together, and you'll actually be mixing colors that way. That would be neat to kind of see, okay? And then you could also use just plain old color pencils to make your color wheel, perfectly acceptable as well. Or how about some markers? All right, and what I love about this color wheel example is you can see they have the colors here, but they also overlap to get that secondary color and that tertiary color. Okay, so please make sure you overlap and kind of mix your colors to get all 12 colors in the color wheel. Or finally, if you just have some plain old sidewalk chalk, why not do that? Okay, I know we have some in our house. I have a young daughter. If you have younger siblings, ask your parents, can I use some sidewalk chalk to make a color wheel? Okay, just make sure you're doing it in the correct order and the right colors. Okay, and take a picture of it too before it washes away. So these are all your choices for your color wheel. However you choose, make sure you submit a photo or recording of your color on the assignment. A lot of students asked me about this. Now I wrote the directions on how to upload your pictures. When you go to assignment, you click more options, okay, in the answer box. And you can actually take a picture like on your phone if you have It's Learning downloaded on your phone, which I highly recommend you do by now as an app. Or on your computer, you could take a picture or a video recording of it. I've had lots of students do that, which I think is fun. Or you could just take a picture on your phone and then attach it as an upload. You hit a little paper clip that looks like that's attachment. If you hover your mouse over things, it tends to tell you what it is. Okay, so please submit your artwork that way. All right, so this is part 1, explaining the assignment. Look for video part 2 on how to get started using some of the materials I just showed you. Have fun.